What's up? 2025, number nine. Number one channel in spiritual and intellectual honesty. So we got to talk about Assata Shakur, Tupac godmama, his step auntie. Tupac, he talked about her and his earlier stuff, I believe. Despite popular belief, Assata was not a Black Panther. She was a former Black Panther, but she joined another group, the Black Liberation Army. To me, those facts are important because they're important, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But Assata Shakur, she died in Cuba at 78 from complications of old age. She's a very important figure, I believe, for foundational Black Americans, in general, for a very core reason. So, her generation, right? She's a baby boomer. And myself, I'm Generation X. So these two generations was different from the other generations, the newer generations, right? Generation X, right? We had a respect for our elders, right? We respected old people. We would listen to them. We, we wouldn't curse in front of them. We had a certain way we would move and do as far as with older people and our elders and our parents even, right? And it's a core reason for that. And this core reason is the baby boomers, they put in work for us, right? They did a lot for us as far as the generation before. My philosophy is the generation of you got to put in work for the next generation. You have to. You have to go all out for them to pave the way for them. It's a must. So that's what they did, right? The Black Panthers, the Civil Rights Movement, all these things, some of the people who got martyred, some people was just straight out just outlaws, like her. The Black Liberation Army, they didn't play no games. They was deeper than the Black Panthers. No shade on them, but they didn't play no games. They was guerrilla warfare in the city. They was army trained, and they were robbing banks and breaking into buildings and doing a lot of things. They had basically warrants out for them, and they had Coin Intel Pro, which basically the alphabetical ordinances, you know what I'm saying, had the move against them. If you see them, hey, just take them out. You feel me? That's where it was. So they risked a lot. She risked a lot, and it seems like when I hear her talk and everything, she's a soft-spoken woman, but she's been through so much, man, and just hard, and you can just tell the hardness, and just from her experience, and her being, just from the stuff she said she's been through torture, and we're gonna talk about that, but it's a shame that she had to go through all those things in a country where these things wasn't supposed to happen. You know what I'm saying? But getting back to her experience, Assata Shakur in New Jersey. She was driving with a few of her BLA members. They were driving a car. Trooper pulled them over. And, same old narrative. You got a broken tail light. What are you doing? Where you going? And, things escalated. She got shot with her hands up and got shot in the back running from the police. And if you know the story, you know what happened to the state trooper, right? So this happened in 1977. She wound up getting convicted in 1979. She said they gave her life in prison plus 33 years and 33 days. Wow, for those who understand them numbers, for those who know, that's all I got to say. So that's what happened to her, right? She got sentenced. She was in a female prison. I forget the name of the prison in New Jersey. In maximum security part. She was in the maximum security part. Now, she escaped. But what they don't tell you when you got to do, like I said, please do the right research with her. What they don't tell you is her comrades came. Her creed came. And they busted her out. They went through the barbed wire gates and blew a hole in the maximum security part of the penitentiary and got her out. And they hauled ass to Cuba. That's what happened. That's what they don't tell you. That's what they don't want to talk about. And that's a trip, right? They broke into a penitentiary to get her out. When have you ever heard of that happening? So, yeah, it's important now, like I said, for us to learn about the truth of these different situations and stuff like that, man. So that's what I'm saying. Just check out when you get a chance. So she hauled ass to Cuba, and she died at 78 in Cuba from complications of old age. Wow, she against all odds, you feel me? Against all odds. So, man, yeah, the thing, man, as far as the generations, right? She put in that work for the generation that was coming up. She put in that work. And that's why Generation X, we had more respect for our elders and stuff like that. It wasn't just the way it was. It was a deep metaphysical, psychological reason for that. And it's a deep metaphysical, psychological reasons why the generation nowadays don't respect anybody. So where we failed, my generation, Generation X, right? We didn't put in the same work as the previous generation did for us. So that's why when they start sagging their pants and doing all type of crazy stuff, right? They didn't listen to us. They were like, who are you? Who are you? You ain't put in no work for me. You ain't try to pave no way for me. You understand? That's the reason. That's the deep, energetic reason why they look at us and perceive us a certain way. Is deep psychological, and subconscious and unconscious. They don't really know why they don't like us or respect us, but that's one of the reasons why. Because we didn't go all out for them like Assata Shakur did for my generation. You understand? So that's what I'm saying. She needs to be respected. Hey, if you out drinking, whatever, pour out a little liquor for her. Pour out a little bit of your whiskey, your beer. Say her name, Assata Shakur, accept this offering. You know what I'm saying? Because she deserves it. I want to talk a little bit about Cuba and Fidel Castro. So, this teeny tiny country, right, no bigger than Tennessee, 90 miles away from the United States. It's really crazy when we talk about Castro and the whole thing with the Cuban Missile Crisis, with the whole thing with Kennedy. I mean, Kennedy was really trying to get at Fidel Castro, El Presidente. He was really trying to get at him, but we all know how that turned out, right? And not just him, all the presidents was trying to push that button on Fidel Castro, and it never happened. And when you think about it, it should be a impossibility. United States, the most powerful country in the world, the most powerful country ever, couldn't get this guy who's 90 miles away, this little teeny tiny country, but it never happened. And it's a reason for that, right? It's a reason for that. Cuba is very spiritually fortified, with Ifa, Santeria, Palo Mayombe, Osha. So that was the thing that was really protecting him. That's why they didn't get at him, and that's why, he went out as an old man. You feel me? I remember the thing with Obama, right, when he was, I think this was his second term, and the way it was with Cuba, he had it set up where everybody, well, I ain't gonna say everybody, I thought it might be a slim chance he might open, Cuba up, that he might drop the embargo. But of course it never happened. But Cuba was the most open under Obama. I mean, celebrities was going to Cuba. It was a lot of people going to Cuba. A lot of black people were going to Cuba for spiritual pilgrimages. I had even relatives went to Cuba. And but when 9 months before Fidel Castro died, Obama, he finally came. And he came to feed the Cuban people. He came radiating, glowing with reverse rainbow politics and philosophies. He came to feed them alphabet soup. Force feed them alphabet soup, right? And the Cuban people didn't go for it. They're like, yeah, how is this going to help us? How is this going to help me eat? How is this going to bring milk to our babies and our babies that have milk? How is this going to nourish us, right? And the other thing he came to do is to bring back Assata Shakur. But didn't happen. Cuba, very loyal. They, very loyal. They were like, nah, we ain't snitching. We don't do that. We ain't getting down. We ain't Libya. We ain't getting down like that. We ain't going out like that. So, hey, you got to give credit where credit is due. Yeah, man, but yeah, he was supposed to bring her back. Your favorite president, favorite ex-president. So another thing too, Fidel Castro, right? When he came over to United States in 1995, I remember I was like in my late teens, And at the time, I was looking at a Rush Limbaugh TV show, right? And it was crazy because everybody was dumbfounded about Fidel Castro when he came here. When he came here, he didn't go to Washington D.C. He didn't go across the street to where all the monarchs stay and the kings and queens stay, and all the presidents of different countries and ambassadors and stuff stay. No, he went to Harlem. He stayed in Harlem. And all the politicians, all the talking heads, they was really dumbfounded. I was like, why is this dude over here in Harlem? Like, what's his angle? What's his motivation? And it was a little bit bizarre when it came to politics, right? So it's like, what's the purpose of coming over here? What these niggas in Harlem gonna do for you? Right, and I remember I was looking at Rush Limbaugh, his TV show came on late at night. Even he was dumbfounded. He didn't know what to say. And for those who knew Rush Limbaugh, right, he always was never short of words when it came to cutting up somebody, cutting up some Democrat or some celebrity, minority, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Political correctness wasn't around at the time, and Rush didn't play. But he was dumbfounded too. He didn't really know what to say. But people didn't understand Castro. Castro, that was just in him, He would go to different countries, when he was younger, and he would talk about how the country was oppressing them and the totalitarianism got the thumb on them, and then he'll go back to his country and be that same oppression. But that was his thing, man. That was Fidel Castro, He knew that America wasn't really going to do anything. I don't know why. I forget his. I don't really remember what the motive was, why he really came over to America, but he was over there talking, shit with the people over there in New York, in Harlem. Talking about oppression, and that was his thing. He would talk about oppression, and he was army trained, and he wound up taking over something. He didn't know at the time with Castro, before Cuba was manifested, they didn't really know what government they was going to be. They didn't really know how they were going to do things, and hey, that's what he decided to create that government, that communist regime, and it is what it is, So, yeah, man. But yeah, so Assata Shakur, man, she needs to be respected. She needs to be, looked up for what she done did for us, man. For all the good work she tried to put in, good intentions. And a lot of people nowadays, they talk about revolution and change through a computer, through a phone, and they don't do anything. At least she did something. At least she tried to put something in. All right, I'll talk to y'all soon.